YouTube, man, what's going on? It's LNH back with another video, man. It feels good to be back, and today, of course, man, I gotta bring this up again. Bronny James' name, of course, in the community is always going crazy, but I made a recent video where a ton of people were critiquing basically the points that I made about Bronny James. So I'm going to break a bunch of these down and really give you the truth about Bronny James. Now, I'm going to show you this post right here that's been going around on Instagram, and it basically says this, and it's talking about Bronny James. He plays so much deeper than the stat sheet, and talking about Bronny's impact on the team. Now, that's one thing I think we have to address first and foremost is his style of play. A lot of you guys were saying that my points, especially saying Bronny James was not aggressive, wasn't valid because he wasn't that type of player. Now, Bronny James for sure does a lot of things, specifically with his IQ, that I think is underrated. And of course, I agree with this take partially. And the reason being is because a lot of this stuff is not going to be on the mixtapes that they put out there. Of course, Bronny's defense is one thing I think is very solid as well. And he definitely picked up some of these blocks from LeBron, because if you've seen any of his footage, this dude can defend pretty well. In addition to this, I think making the right type of passes and getting his teammates involved is something he does exceptionally well also, which is not going to be on these mixtapes, on these highlight tapes, of course, because they focus mainly on scoring. Now, my issue with this is one, high school competition, of course, is good, but you guys know the competition is only going to get better at the next level. And personally, I think if you're going to be a solid player in the future, you should be able to at least score a decent amount of points in high school, because of course that competition, right, you're playing a vast number of teams, a vast level of talent, and you have to be able to put the ball in the basket regardless, in my opinion. Now, some people may disagree with that, but I really think this is the initial level where a lot of guys, of course, could be good scorers at the high school level and then not be able to transition to college or the NBA or whatever type of level that they do play at. And if you're not able to score the basketball in high school, in my opinion, I think it's going to be tough for you wherever you go. Now, we've seen glimpses of Bronny James do this. Of course, he did have that 16-point game where I thought he looked impressive with shooting the ball well from the three and looked like the player that a lot of people want to see him develop into and show that more consistently. Now, at the next level, a lot of you guys know, especially in the NBA, you're not going to be the top dog, the one scoring the ball. So I think in that aspect a lot, Bronny James could definitely develop because he's able to get his teammates involved. Now, there are some players that can score the ball as well and do this, but Bronny James seems to be the majority of his game, seems to be getting his teammates involved and looking less for his shot a lot of times. But again, I think in my opinion, that high school basketball, you have to be able to score the ball regardless. Now, it's funny, a lot of people even in the comment section were talking about, oh, Bronny James just came off an injury and we have to address this elephant in the room. Now, it's crazy because somebody like Mikey Williams, who said he was playing through an injury the entire season, people called him overrated many times and really just did not give him the type of credit that he deserved on the basketball court. Now, of course, injuries can be different depending on players and how severe they are, but Mikey Williams actually came back and was playing very well. This dude was putting the ball in the basket, going crazy on the court his first game back. Now, on the other hand, when people compare him and talk about Bronny James, right when Bronny James came back, the only thing people could say is defend Bronny James and say, okay, he needs a little bit more time to develop. This guy is definitely just coming back from an injury, needs to rehab, get back in the gym and get comfortable. Now, I find that kind of hard because clearly there is not an even playing field here and there's some bias towards Bronny James. We just have to be honest. But these type of comments are excellent as well, and I really agree with these partially because, again, you have to look at it and say, okay, if he is just coming back from an injury, he may need a little time to really get in the rhythm of playing basketball again, getting up and down the court. It definitely does take some time, but for sure, those things do not seem to be equal between somebody like Mikey Williams and Bronny James. Now, I think the other thing that people are forgetting as well is how Bronny was playing before he even got injured. Bronny was not scoring 30, 40, 50-point games when he was back before he was injured. So I think the fact that we have expectations of this dude to come back after his injury and score those type of points is really doesn't make too much sense in my opinion. You have to look at a player's history to be able to talk about what he's going to do in the future. And clearly he still did have that same type of pass first, guard, point guard, really true point guard in my opinion type of player, and not really that type of score first guy. So when you look back at that, you definitely cannot say that he's going to score a ton of points or do all these other things. This dude is known for his high IQ and is going to try to get his teammates involved, play defense, and he clearly, in my opinion, I think is a player that coaches are going to love because he cares about winning the game more just about himself, which is very important in my opinion. Now, the next piece of criticism a lot of people are talking about is saying that Bronny James is 16 years old and we shouldn't even be covering this dude. Now, if you guys have followed my channel for a minute, we cover amateur basketball, of course, high school and college, and this is just what we do. A lot of people want insight as to how these players will perform in the future and if they really are as good as advertised. Now, being the son of an NBA player, of course, people are going to look at his son, criticize his game, and see what he does well and what he needs to improve, and will he be as good as his father? It's just natural questions that people are going to ask. Now, in my opinion, I think Bronny James carries himself pretty well in the spotlight. He's definitely matured a lot, and I think, of course, a lot of the off-court antics that happened previously, he's definitely grown from, learned a lot not to be doing these things, not to be going wild on social media. So I definitely think this dude has matured and is old enough for us to really critique, look at his game, see what he does well and what he can improve on. But at the end of the day, there's no hate towards any of these players. Now, on the other hand, rankings is another topic a ton of people like to bring up when we talk about these highly recruited players. Now, a lot of people even stated technically Bronny James got D-ranked, but in my opinion, the majority of people only look at ESPN rankings anyway, and when we look at those, Bronny James actually has not been ranked for a little bit now. Now, of course, this can be because of a number of things. One, if you look at the competition that he's playing against, and a lot of people think that's a bailout when we talk about how good of the competition that he is going up against. Now, in my opinion, I think, of course, him being pretty young still at this age, developing, it's definitely going to take some time for him to adjust to this game. Yes, he's been playing varsity since he's been in 9th grade, so I think he definitely is getting more accustomed to the game. And you guys see in AAU, I think he's shown time and time again where he has these bursts of talent where you see this dude play the game of basketball very well and gets a little bit more aggressive. I think, in my opinion, Bronny is, of course, has plenty of talent, is able to go out there, get buckets on the court when he chooses to, but I think his IQ is something that's going to be underrated and definitely going to serve him well at the next level. You see plenty of players in the NBA who are really not known for scoring like crazy, but what are they known for? Facilitating, getting their teammates involved. But I think, of course, an aspect is you're going to have to be able to have that scoring ability in combination with the facilitating ability. So if I see Bronny James just be a tad bit more aggressive, maybe average a little bit more points, I think these overrated comparisons that a lot of people are saying about him are really going to be gone, because if he's averaging a consistent amount of points but can also pass the ball and be that facilitator, that natural facilitator that he is, man, this dude is going to be very successful in the future. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I missed anything about these critiques? What do you think about Bronny James? Am I right? Do you really think that this dude is going to be excellent in the future? Now, of course, Gilbert Arenas commented on Bronny as well and said by the time he's a senior, he's going to be one of the best players in the country. And I think personally, if Bronny continues to put in the work, he has the possibility to be that good, but only time will tell. We definitely will have to wait and see. And in my opinion, I think this dude just needs to put the ball in the basket a little bit more, get a little bit more comfortable with his teammates and go after it and go 100% in. But of course, that natural facilitator, he has that down, and for sure his IQ is 100% underrated. A lot of people do not recognize that. But you guys let me know again, did you think I missed anything about this video about Bronny James? How good do you think he is, man? A lot of people are criticizing what I said about Bronny. You guys let me know, do you think I'm right or am I wrong about this dude? Comment down below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications, get a new notification every time I upload a new video, and make sure to leave video suggestions in the comments down below. I do always appreciate those, and I do check them out, man. All right, it's LNH and I'm out.